If you've been watching this channel for a while, you've heard me talk about the importance of having a retirement plan hundreds of times. But how do you actually put that plan into action? Where does money come from? How do you draw it down? What's the tax situation? There's a few steps you need to take to implement your plan. And I'll show you the process we go through with our clients to make sure that you walk into retirement smoothly. When it comes to rolling out your retirement plan, there's a lot of challenges you will face. And a couple of the main ones that we see with most of our clients and the conversations that we have, and something you'll probably bump into, are these two items. Number one, and by far this is the most important, is taxes and withholding taxes. When you're working, you typically will have your employer take off the right amount of tax. So when it comes to your tax refund or payment at tax time, it's usually pretty level. It's right around zero. It might be up a few $100s or down a few $100s. When it comes to retirement, I've talked about this a lot in that you have multiple income streams. Each income stream will take off a certain amount of tax, but it might not be the right amount of tax. So that's why it's important and a challenge for most of you, where you need to look at your average tax rate. So let's say your average tax rate in retirement is 10%. And you're collecting CPP, you have OAS, you have your RIF, you have some other accounts that are taxable. You need to make sure that they're all taking off on average 10%. Just be aware, and a tip for you as you enter into retirement, that most people struggle with this. And the first year to two of retirement is a bit of a touch and feel. Figure out how this all works. Work with your financial advisor, but make sure that you kind of have a bit of leeway on the tax situation. It is very different as you enter into retirement. It's a challenge you will probably face, so don't get frustrated by it. Work through it, work with an Excel spreadsheet. And again, we have a few tips here later in the video for you on this. The second challenge that most of you will face is fear of failure. And what I mean by this around your retirement plan is that you won't follow it to a T because you're fearful that there's something wrong with it. And to be honest with you, a lot of financial plans and retirement plans that we see could fail. Like they're really badly put together. So make sure you understand how it works. Ask your financial planner the nitty-gritty details so that you understand, okay, what's the rate of return? What's the inflation rate? Are all the details correct in the plan? And we have a lot of people that come to us that have a plan put together by our firm because who they were working with, they were using wrong data, they were putting a really high rate of return. It was very unrealistic. And so make sure you know what the inputs are in your plan and then what the outputs are. And then trust the plan and move forward with it. Don't have fear that your plan's going to fail you. Do a proper plan up front and then make sure you follow it along. So again, if the plan says you can take $60,000 a year after tax, trust the plan. And again, there's follow-up to this, which we'll cover later in the video. So where do most people fail in their retirement plan? And there's one area that by far and away is the number one reason, and it's the markets. And it comes to markets and cash flow, and those two things need to come together. When you create a retirement plan, the primary focus needs to be the output of cash flow. How much cash flow can you have? Where does it come from? And how do I structure it so it's going to be there for me no matter what the market is doing? And for a lot of you, you don't plan ahead. You create the plan, you have the plan in place, but the plan might say you need to take $30,000 out of your RIF, for the next 5 years. Well, where's that coming from? Have you planned for that cash flow? Do you have dividends coming out? Do you have, what's the income stream? And if part of that income stream is, no, I'm selling down the stocks that I own or the mutual funds or whatever it is, then plan ahead because you need that cash flow to put food on the table, to do the trips, to enjoy those go-go years of retirement. And if you're reliant on the markets to sell, and the markets are down 10, 20, 30%, you may not sell your investment. You may not then get the cash flow you need, and you may not be doing the things you need to do in retirement. So when you have your retirement plan, look at how much cash flow to each account you need or each type of investment that you need, and then plan accordingly around that cash flow. So again, if it's $30,000 out of your RIF and you have $15,000 a year coming through dividends, then that means you need another $15,000. So is it, okay, let's trim back some of the holdings now and put that in cash or a low risk investment. Again, work with your investment advisor on this. If you're a DIYer, you really need to focus on this. It's very easy to succeed in this area if you plan ahead. But most of you take the plan and then you just start going forward. You need to take a step back and say, okay, where's my cash flow going to come from? So lastly, what are some steps that you can take to make sure that you don't fail, that you don't have these challenges? I want to provide you 5 steps to make sure that you can walk into your retirement and your retirement plan, how to implement it, and make sure you have a successful retirement. Again, our team here, we provide financial plans, retirement plans to Canadians across the country. And our thing is always, look, we can build a great plan for you, but the implementation of your plan is as important, because if you don't implement the plan, then the plan is useless. But you need to know how to implement the plan. So part of our process is we have a retirement guide that we give to our clients to say, here's what you need to do next to make sure that your plan's on track. So I want to share those with you now. So the first one, touched on earlier, is you need to create and know your cash flow plan. And make sure that you plan forward, typically 2 to 3 years. So if you need $30,000 out of your RIF in 3 years from now, you need to plan ahead for that. Where's that cash flow coming from? You may need to start making some changes, some withdrawals, some adjustments to your portfolio to make sure that in 3 years from now when you need that cash flow, you're not forced to sell if the markets are down or whatever it may be. The second tip for you to have success in retirement with your retirement plan is to create an Excel spreadsheet that shows where your income is coming from, how much tax is withheld, and then add up the total taxes and compare that to your retirement plan. So if your retirement plan says, based on all the income that's coming out, you should be paying, $10,000 in tax, and you add it up and your withholding tax and all of the taxes coming out are only $8,000, you're going to probably have a tax bill at the end of the year. So if you create a simple spreadsheet and just start tracking this thing, again, we track our investments and how they're doing and the growth and this and that, but then we do our tax refund or tax return and we owe thousands of dollars and maybe we're getting a big refund and we should have had less withheld at source. Maybe we don't have CPP and OAS have taxes withheld. So there's ways to kind of massage this and manage this, but start with a good spreadsheet to track this data. The third step to have a successful retirement plan implementation is to review the plan. And this could be with your financial planner. This could be on your own. Pull out the plan, look at it. How do the accounts compare? So again, I always say you want to have goalposts within your plan. So if you look at your RIF account, let's say in retirement, and your plan said at the end of the year, your RIF account should be worth $200,000. And it's within about 10 to 15% of that, I would say your plan is probably on track as far as from a tax and income perspective. So look at each account individually, look at how much taxes the plan said you should pay versus when you filed your tax return, how much you actually owed. So again, do this comparison year after year to see if you're on track. If you find that, hey, it's getting off track, loop back with your financial planner, get an update done. Again, typically a retirement plan is more of a guide, right? And we always say it's our retirement guide for you in retirement. But again, that needs to be reviewed. It might need to be adjusted. You might have something come into your world, an inheritance, a big expense, whatever it is, that disrupts your retirement plan. So make sure you're reviewing it at least annually. The fourth tip for you is to set up ongoing monthly draws. So we're used to having a paycheck every month or every 2 weeks. We have a constant flow of cash coming into our bank account while we're working. But when we hit retirement, it's kind of on you to figure out how am I going to draw this money out? So the retirement plan tells you how much you should take out, but how do you actually implement that cash flow into your bank account? And my recommendation for you to have consistency and success through retirement would be set up either a monthly or a bi-weekly payment. So it's very similar to what you had when you were working. So again, for simple math, if your plan said you should take out $24,000 out of your RIF account, take out $2,000 a month. That's just the simplest way. There's going to be some withholding tax and the net amount will come into your pocket. So again, set up an ongoing consistent cash flow stream and it'll make it much easier through retirement. The fifth and last tip I have for you is know how and where you're saving for large purchases. Through retirement, we're going to have some larger purchases. It could be upgrading the vehicle, it could be a big trip, it could be fixing up your roof, home, whatever it is. There's going to be those larger expenses that hopefully you've planned ahead for. Now, our clients will do it one of two ways. And there's no good way or bad way. It's just make sure you know how you're doing it and then have that plan roll out accordingly. So one option would be to save monthly. So part of your monthly draw that's coming in, you're allocating X amount into side bank account and you're saving up for that next car. So in 5 years from now when you need to buy the new car or upgrade the car, you have that money saved in a separate bank account. So that's one way to do it. And I would say that's the most common way to do it. It's just kind of the ongoing, because that's, for most of us, how we do it as we're working. We're saving constantly, we have that money aside, and then we buy that larger ticket item. Now, the second way to do it is to say, okay, in 5 years from now, I need $30,000 to upgrade my car. Then have that put into your plan as a one-time expense and prepare for it. Again, if you're in charge of your cash flow, in 5 years from now, if you need to pull $30,000 out of your TFSA account, you need to make sure that the investments and the structure of everything will allow for that redemption. So again, it could be, let's save up and do a big one-time withdrawal, but make sure you plan for that cash flow need, or it might be ongoing. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you have a plan and strategy for how you're going to fund these larger ticket items. Having success in your retirement plan and rolling it out, it's not hard. A few small adjustments and it'll get you on track. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next video.